Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Pacific Pokémon podcast, where we talk about Pokemon with a focus on VGC. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Bambi.
And today we're here to discuss LAIC and some of the Terra Raid events that are going on currently, and covering a little bit of Gdansk. And forgive me if I pronounce that incorrectly. That is not an easy name. So let me know in the comments down below if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Hit me up with that. But Gdansk regionals in Poland, and that's happening right now over the weekend. So we're going to cover a little bit of the info that's come out through day one and the beginnings of day two on that. So without any further ado, we're going to dive right into it. Congratulations to Marco Silva for winning LAIC, the Latin America International Championships, his second international championship under his belt.
Yeah, I had no doubt going into this finals and Marco Silva's ability. If there's anybody who's going to stop the rampage of Regieleki with Bolt Beam coverage, it was going to be him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when looking at the top 8 matchups, I felt like, it was either, Marco Silva or Riley Factura that had the most experience to actually pull that off and slow down that absurdly fast Regieleki.
No, for real. It was going a million miles an hour. Like, this thing was able to keep up with Pidgeot of all things.
Yeah.
Pidgeot in its deck entry, not in its actual speed, by the way.
Touche. Yeah, and Dragonite as well in its dex entry, that it's said to be able to fly at Mach speeds. Yep. Garchomp too, actually, in its dex entry.
Garchomp can also hit the sound barrier?
Mm-hmm. It's Gen 4 dex entry.
Okay, I want to know, let us know which one in the comments section, which one is scarier coming at you at Mach 3. Pidgeot, Dragonite, or Garchomp? Which one is
or
the scariest? Or Regieleki. What's the scariest thing flying at you at the speed of sound?
Yeah. I'm personally voting on the Regieleki there because, yikes, that thing is, I definitely don't want 1,000,000 volts, chasing me down at the speed of sound. That's just death. Guaranteed.
I feel like I would rather be electrocuted and like be burnt to a crisp immediately. But I think like for me, like the scariest thing is probably Garchomp because I feel like it'd eat me alive. It'd take multiple bites out of me and I wouldn't even know it was coming.
Garchomp's just gonna fly by and chomp in the instant that it's right there.
Yeah.
Your head just disappears in Garchomp's mouth. Oh god. That's horrific. Yikes.
But yeah, getting back into it. One of the things that we got going is Amoonguss making a return on Marco Silva's team, paired along with that Golden Go.
Yeah, this top championship matchup felt like it was literally just like Regieleki versus Amoonguss. Amoonguss balance. And honestly, it does not surprise me that Amoonguss balance is what was able to actually pull out that victory.
It doesn't surprise me either at all. Amoonguss really does have the stats to pay the bills.
Yeah, and even Amoonguss can take a Terra Ice, Terra Blast from Regieleki. Amoonguss will take that, and it'll continue to put you to sleep. It doesn't care. Like the only grass type strong enough to do that too.
I wonder if that was something that surprised Diago at all. Was Bolt the Terra Blast not really working out as one would think.
Yeah, maybe that might have been why Marco was able to. Look into getting a bar light or something on Amazon. You should. They're super cheap.
Okay, remind me next month. Not next month, January.
I'll send you a link of one or something.
And pin it.
Yeah, sure. I love that idea. That's perfect.
Okay. Okay, we're back.
But yeah, I feel like Amoonguss was probably the one grass type that has the stuff to be able to snuff that Regieleki.
It really does. It's gonna live and it's gonna put it to sleep. It's gonna make it have to go through at least 2 turns of doing nothing except for getting hit.
Yeah.
And a Lecky just doesn't have the bulk to be able to live those 2 turns without being able to take care of its major threat on the field.
Yeah. And there's enough other things in that team that do damage to Aleki as well. I mean, Aleki
Mm.
is not known for its defensive capability. I feel like Marco's Terra, or not Terra Fairy, not Terra Normal specifically, but his Hisuian Arcanine, I feel like the extreme speed probably would have picked up 80% or more on that
If
Regieleki.
not, did he ever go for the E-Speed onto a Lecky?
I don't
I
believe he
can't
did.
remember.
I don't remember off the top of
Uh,
my head right now, but I don't
I
believe he did.
I I honestly think that that would probably be doing like at least
Yeah.
80% the Lecky.
Yeah. Like 80 to
It's
100%
not
generally.
like honestly, like even like theoretically, like thinking about it, like I think going for fake out into Lecky and then E-Speedian would be enough physical damage to
Hmm.
Oko. Like coming from um I
Iron
mean like
Hands
this
and
is
Hisuian Arcanine with a choice band.
yeah, and I mean this Iron Hands too, like it's dropping the heavy slam. It's not running any coverage. Um
Yeah.
it is just going for I actually really want to consider like dropping heavy slam now for wild charge on my own Blood Moon Ursaluna team after seeing this after seeing how well it played out too, being able to have options like for being able to like I can imagine just like I already know like having Volt Switch is so nice, especially into
Yeah.
things like Focus Sash Glamora Dozo.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
Volt Switch is a really good move on Iron Hands, honestly. I
it
think,
really is. It says I take the damage before the other guy comes in.
yeah, I forget who it
Um,
was. Emilio Forbes, that's it, who kind of pined it in tournament usage. But
yeah,
he was running the
exactly.
Heavy
It was
Slam instead of the Wild
in
Charge.
Fresno when
Yep.
we were there.
Yep. But he was running the Heavy Slam instead of the Wild Charge there. So it's interesting to see how the meta is really
Yeah,
shifting away from that. But I think it makes a difference that this Iron Hands is also paired with that Goldengo being the
yeah,
main damage dealer on that team, and that Goldengo just destroys the Fluttermane.
mhm,
So
exactly.
yeah. Looking at Tiago's team though with that Regieleki, it's kind of interesting seeing that it's not using the Focus Sash. I think the only reason he didn't run
No,
Sash
it
is
needs to boost. Yeah, because it got nerfed.
yeah, it got nerfed, and then he's running the Indeedee to counteract the extreme speeds. You know,
Yep.
the one thing that can beat Regieleki is priority, so put down Psychic Terrain, and there goes priority.
Yeah.
So really solid team though, and very well piloted. Honestly, I mean, what blows my
One of the
mind
things I
with that
really like a
tournament.
lot about it is that it's instead of running Urshifu,
Mm-hmm.
they're running the Wellspring Mask Ogre Pawn with
Mm-hmm.
swords there. And I think that that's a really smart idea. It kind of functions on this team in a way like a Sword Stance Iron Hands would.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, providing better coverage. Um, or I should say more relevant coverage, not better.
True. Fair.
Um,
Iron
yeah,
Hands and Horn Leech. Or Ivy Cudgel and Horn
it's not
Leech.
like I mean like the Indeedee, like with the Terra type being dragon, like that's way more relevant nowadays.
Yeah. And I mean, Terra Dragon is obviously gaining a lot of stead now because of the decrease in Fluttermane usage. You know, it's Fluttermane's not on 75% of all teams anymore. So I feel like that makes a huge difference in terms of the usage of Terra Dragon. You know,
Hmm.
everybody had to run Steel before because Fluttermane was so much everywhere that if you didn't have Steel or Poison to counter that Dazzle,
Mhm.
you were probably going to just go down to it at some point.
Yep, you're just gonna lose to choice specs.
One of the things that blows my mind as well in the top 8 from this tournament from LAIC is that there wasn't a single match that went to 3 battles.
That's true. That was actually like completely crazy. Like no round threes, only game twos.
And granted, we only played 6 of the 7 matches for top 8 because Yu Yatada was disqualified, entering into top 8 due to, well, failing hack checks. So,
Another one bites the dust.
yeah. Um, it was quite funny. I was watching Twitter at the time, and information wasn't even fully out yet, and I see the post coming out from Yu Yatada that's been spread around of being like, hey, can somebody hack check this team and tell me what's wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And he was missing the home trackers on Tornadus and Urshifu. And then some of the things, like everything was perfect IVs, everything was max PP up. And I think it was same trainer ID between the home ID Pokemon and the Scarlet and Violet Pokemon. And everybody was like, yeah, dude, no, that's not possible.
Dude, okay, I gotta be honest. He knew. He had to have known. There's just no way that like unless you like he like literally genuinely did not look at the like at like just the basics like stat page of like the summary of the Pokemon and
Yeah,
not notice those things. Like those are some pretty those aren't even things that you like need to hack check to be able to see.
exactly.
Like something's clearly wrong here.
Yeah, other players were kind of like, dude, how did you get all the way up to top 8 without getting caught on this?
No, for well, honestly,
So,
like when that with that is like that factor, like it just comes down to not everybody's able to get hack checked at the same time.
yeah. And it just is very surprising that
It
somebody
went
made
that
it
long.
that far before getting their guaranteed check kind of thing,
Hmm.
you know. But definitely one of those things where when you find out about it, you're like, wow, okay. That's pretty impressive in some manner.
I guess.
The
Um,
impressive on the like, wow, I'm impressed you managed to fail that badly. Or
yeah, I don't know about your locals too, but speaking of hacking and things like that, um, did your local judges have to do an announcement trying to sway people away from hacking?
no, not yet anyway. Granted, I have not been going to a lot of local, like larger tournaments. I've basically been going to a small group tournament, basically of like 5 people right now,
Hmm.
every other week. But our place just closed down, unfortunately, and so we're still
That's
trying to
perfect.
find a new place. But yeah, so I mean, a lot of the top teams for the rest of LAIC predominantly are very common teams, very meta Pokemon. We're looking at Rillaboom, Fluttermane, Iron Hands, Arcanine, Ogerpon, Chenpao, Roaring Moon, Amoonguss, Tornadus, and Urshifu and Landorus. Across the board, just
Yeah,
all of those, filling like
yeah,
every top team.
exactly. Not really home much of a change at all, even between day one and day two. It's just a different order.
Yeah, and looking at all of the top 12, it's exactly the same. Fluttermane and Iron Hands being the top for both day 1 and day 2. Goldengo being the only thing that came in to usage in day 2 from day 1, jumping all the way up to 34% in day 2 though. So
What did we
Goldengo
lose
is
on off cut?
Heatran, no, Roaring Moon
Well, Spring Ogre Mask.
and Wellspring. Roaring Moon and Wellspring both swapped out from day 1 to day 2 in exchange for Goldengo coming way up. And then, or no, Roaring Moon didn't leave. Roaring Moon's exactly the same, just the Wellspring. But yeah, it's really neat to see how Ogerpon went from being, everybody's favorite Pokemon, everybody's top of the meta, performing
Hmm.
extremely well on every team that it's
Yeah,
in.
when mastering the new Asian crown, I said that, you know,
Yeah. And here we are. Where's the Ogerpon?
not even there.
Nope. What also surprises me is that there's nothing even from DLC 2. But yeah,
I
like,
think
no,
when it goes into that falling off is honestly the prevalence of Glimdozo still.
yeah, I mean,
Especially current like Dozo adaptations really, really just make it impossible to run Hearthflame Mask.
yeah, like Wellspring Mask does pretty well, but Hearthflame
Mm.
struggles so hard into the Dozo.
It
And
really does.
like Lamora and Dozo teams, I mean, really are half of a team at least capable of just one-shotting Hearthflame.
Yes,
And it's so
especially if
strong.
it tears.
Yeah, especially then. Yeah, so much damage. But yeah, top 12 usage, very consistent. The meta is really kind of decided on itself with Hisuian Arcanine being, uh, what was
The
it that
new Michael
Twitter's?
Jordan of
Yep,
Pokemon.
there we go.
The Michael Jordan of Pokemon is here. He's got 6 championships. You know, we can read it and weep all we want, but like the fact of the matter is like this Pokemon gets results. I've been really tempted to say that Landorus has lost its crown as the best Intimidate user, even.
Yeah,
And
I mean
I'm a huge
Incineroar too.
Landorus fan. Um, I mean, Incineroar was never better than Landorus, but
Fills a different role. But yeah,
yeah.
I completely agree though. Hisuian Arcanine is taking over the meta and for a really good reason. I've realized this Pokemon's type coverage is just incredibly phenomenal. Offensive on all the fronts, and then if you just give it Fairy
Fire
Terra
and rock for
Blast.
everything. I mean, there's like literally like we were trying to brainstorm ideas, and even then, like we were like thinking of like Heatran or things like that. Like no, not even Heatran, but like nothing like can resist both of its stabs.
Yeah,
You know.
there's actually there it is, Gastrodon.
Ah, there it is again.
That's what
Oh gosh,
resists
Astronaut.
both of its stabs. There we go. The Sea Slug.
Okay, so we finally figured it out on the spot today.
But like, that's it.
That's like it. Like honestly, that is it.
Yeah, because you need something that
Uh,
resists rock, which is ground, and steel and fighting. So I guess Water
mhm.
Urshifu also resists both of its
I guess.
stabs, but that's where the
Oh,
Terra Fairy.
there's another one.
Yeah, but Terra Fairy also covers all of those so
Yes,
well,
it does.
except for Gastrodon.
Yeah, except for Gastrodon.
But I think that's kind of where this
And
Pokemon has just been dominating. Terra Fairy
Gastrodon, we know,
fills all its
doesn't have the
typing
skills
coverage.
to pay the bills. It gets close. It gets close, but it's not quite there yet.
Yeah. Does the same thing as classic Arcanine, but just more things.
Hmm.
I'm curious to see in DLC 2 what will come out on top. Hisuian Arcanine, Landorus, and Incineroar. We will find
Uh,
out.
I guess we're gonna have to find out. I really honestly think that like Incineroar is really competing with Iron Hands too much in what it wants to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Uh, versus like what Landorus and Hisuian Arcanine are doing.
Yeah.
Um,
They're filling the role
and
of
I honestly
damage.
really think that Incineroar in general is gonna really, really, really struggle with Iron Hands.
I agree as well. It doesn't have much to be able to do in Iron Hands at all.
Even if it gets a burn off, it's still not enough.
Yeah. Oh.
You gotta like burn and then parting shot, and then it's enough.
Yeah. True. But then it switches out with Volt Switch, and voila.
And I'm still calling it Terra Ghost on Incineroar. That will be the most popular Terra type.
I'm assuming Ghost or Fairy probably will be the most popular because it does have Flare Blitz to hit steel types super effectively, which is the
Mhm.
only thing that's consistently used in beating Fairy. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, definitely wild. Congratulations to Regieleki for making it into the top 8 at LAIC. Congratulations again to Marco Silva for winning the entire event. He now has 2 of the now only 3 international championships under his belt, both EUIC and LAIC.
Yeah.
Look out, NA. He's gonna be coming back. You can bet he's coming here, NAIC, this next season. So be prepared for Marco Silva. Everybody
Yeah.
who's going to the top, be prepared. He will be there.
True. Yeah, looking at Gdansk now, though.
Yeah.
Um, there are it's still going on right now, so we don't have like final results.
Nah, and we
But
don't
some of
have
the teams,
teams easily listed out for everybody either.
yeah, no, some of the things just to talk about going on this weekend, with top 12 Pokemon, in usage is that it's essentially the same. The
Yeah.
only difference being that in day two, Amoonguss is dropped out of favor to Roaring Moon.
Yeah. It's kind of funny to me that, like, as soon as Amoonguss comes back up in favor, Water Ogerpon comes back up a little bit more again as well.
Yeah, it really does.
Kind of as the, like, straight up, I'm going to just sit here and not care about you and also be a good supporter.
Hmm.
So, but what blows
And
my mind is how well distributed all of these top Pokemon are.
hmm and at the same time, how condensed they are because like that top row is sitting at over 40% usage, and that straight up just is a team.
Yeah. I mean, quite literally,
40% of people are using that team with like 6%, like 0.6% to 13% like discrepancy,
it's kind of
and
wild.
showing up basically is what it feels like to me, at least.
No, I
With like
completely agree.
it's really just like the prevalence of this like Hisuian Arcanine balance going on.
Yeah. I mean, the Tornadus, Dragon Terra Goldengo,
I
Hisuian
don't even want to
Arcanine.
call it balance. I want to call it hyper offense, honestly.
Yeah, I think it is. It's
It's just the rise of hyper offense. We're at the point where
yeah,
we're late enough in the meta to where people are able just to make those consistent calls and reads, and we're not seeing a lot of new things. Like we're not seeing any tricks of the trade come out really anymore. We're just seeing consistent gameplay, and people who are going to consistently rise up to the top are really who are coming out.
yeah. You know, the Terra Dragon Goldengo, Tornadus, Hisuian Arcanine with the Terra Fairy and Rillaboom. Like that
Hmm.
core of four is so strong right now. And I feel like that's the core that everybody needs to be planning around on what they're going to be able to do. How do you beat that core of four?
Trick room.
And I
That's
mean,
my
yeah,
answer.
that's one of the best.
That's always going to be my answer to anything. And when it comes to hyper offense, is Trick Room will stop it when you have the right setup.
Yeah. And Trick Room's going to be in a very interesting spot looking at the next regulation upcoming as well. We're getting quite a few new interesting Pokemon or returning Pokemon that could be very good in Trick Room.
The
So,
duck is coming back. The
yeah.
real duck, not this duck from outer space. We got this down to earth little bobblehead of a duck coming back that we all know and love. Um,
Porygon
I
2.
really, and now it's not going to be locked into normal type.
I know. Before we even move on, some of these teams that have been showing up at Gdansk have been wild. And I really want to at least kind of discuss Jamie Boyd's team
Hmm.
because I've heard about this team and this guy's always cooking some wild stuff.
Rocky Helmet, Galarian Articuno. Who would have thunk it? Other than him, honestly, like
Seriously.
who would have thought like that Galarian Articuno would see results for the first time
Yeah,
like this late into the game with that of all things. Um, like that's it's so crazy because like psychic ground coverage, like what is that really even like that big of a thing? But
apparently.
it's like you really need to hit those poison types. Like what did Okie Dokie do to you, Jamie Boy? Tell me, what did Okie Dokie do to you? He did nothing.
As I look at
Leave
this, I'm questioning if it's
alone.
literally just to beat annoying Toxapex stall.
I think it literally was just to beat annoying Toxapex stall. Um, which is something we have to talk about. It's coming back. Toxapex is coming back, and it's annoying as ever.
Why
Um,
Toxapex is making it an appearance in VGC though? I don't understand. If I wanted to play singles, I would go play singles. Guys,
here's my
come
theory
on.
on it. So it essentially functions as like it's got the same like level of bulk as like a boosted Dondozo, with the actual tools to be able to stall.
Yeah,
Versus Dondozo just gets bigger than everything else. It basically is shorthand Gigantamax, right?
yeah,
Like an Omni boost instead of whatever. Um, and I think that where it fits on a lot of teams, in that like Toxic Stall pairs really well with that Dozo. Um, Toxapex just fills that better role and leaves Tatsugiri off the plate.
yeah.
You don't have to worry about hard positioning, and you're able to trap your opponents in instead of you being trapped in.
True.
So, and
It's
that is
huge.
always better. Like it's never gonna not be good, especially because like in VGC we don't have access to things like natural cure. Really, we're not healing our statuses unless it's lunar blessing.
Yeah,
Um,
safeguard is not a
Safeguard
common
is
thing.
we don't even really prankster safeguard doesn't even exist in VGC.
Yeah.
Let alone in singles. Like nobody's using safeguard. Really. I remember a little bit in season in like a regulation B. There was a little bit of safeguard usage back then when Glomora was starting to pick up a lot for the first time
Yeah.
with Dojo.
Because that was
Um,
Glimdozo like top of the meta, so your goal was just to
mhm.
prevent getting poisoned by the Glamora so you could actually KO it and not get wrecked getting into the dozo. Alright, gotta love minor technical difficulties there. But finishing up on Jamie Boyd's team, because this, yeah, wild team. There was one other thing that kind of stood out to me on this that really wanted to mention, and it's the Iron Hands set.
Mhm.
Fake
The
out,
Giant Hands I've seen before at my locals.
really? Okay. With
hmm
the
Yeah,
Ice
this is
Punch and
pretty
the Terra
standard.
Ice.
Yeah, and it's usually it's always paired with like the Hisuian Arcanine hyper offense.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I've noticed too from this Iron Hands, at least remembering the streamed matches from Jamie Boyd, he's running
hmm
a very fast Iron Hands. This Iron Hands actually will outspeed average speed Pokemon in Tailwind. This thing
hmm
has a lot of speed investment and is not built to just stay on the field constantly. It is very much built to just show up, hit hard, get out.
Yeah, and part of the nice thing too about running a bit more of a frail Pokemon sometimes is that can lead you to getting essentially free swap ins from your back.
Yeah,
Like it gets its job done and it's got its set up ready. It reminds me a lot of like how I used to play Murkrow.
yeah, yeah,
I wasn't worried about Murkrow going down because I only needed to click the right button, and there was only one button I needed to click, and Prankster would always get it off.
exactly. And we'll see a
hmm
lot more of that coming up with Whimsicott too in the next meta here. Yeah, that's such an odd team. Still running the support Roaring Moon with Tailwind as well. That's not surprising. He was running that at LAIC, and he's bringing the same thing to Gdansk. But some
hmm
really wild stuff there. Otherwise, though, I did not notice any major teams that were really running anything different than the norm currently in there. I think everything that was popping up in the top cut for Gdansk or making it into day 2 is pretty much just a lot of the top meta.
hmm
A lot of those same
Yeah.
7 Pokemon.
hmm
Yeah, absolutely wild though. Gdansk popping in with some interesting sets, and I'm curious to see what we've got at the very end of it there.
I'll tell you what's going to happen. Hisuian Arcanine and Urshifu are going to get another championship.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree there. I think it's going to be the Harkonine all the way through. For
hmm
sure. Going for number 7.
Yeah.
Can Michael Jordan get his 7th win in VGC?
That's the episode title now.
Michael Jordan's 7th win in VGC. Deal.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
do it.
that's it.
Yep. Finally, though, I wanted to casually, real quick, cover some of this information. There's been a huge info leak that is supposedly covering DLC 2. Now, this leak is a very skepticism leak. Bring multiple shakers of salt to this one.
Mhm.
But this leak involves all of the Pokemon. It has dex numbers for everything coming back in the next meta. It covers all of the mechanical functionality of the new Terra type. It covers the new Pokemon being added, as well as all of the new moves and the availability of them. So if this is correct, this is a ton of information available a couple weeks in advance, which is phenomenal. If it's correct, we were right about the Terra type thing, the 19th Terra type. If this is right, so were we. Neutral damage to everything, and deals super effective damage to everything. Supposedly called Jewel Terra, which makes perfect sense.
I actually like that name a lot.
Me too. Like, I was like, that actually is really good. That's creative. Jewel type, Jewel Terra. Solid. Good job. Yeah, Arcaludon is like 30 base points higher than Duraludon, which is not surprising. Much slower, though.
Yeah.
Some of the important things, though, on this list, and the reason why these are the main reason why I wanted to bring this up, is some of these new TMs and some of the returning TMs. Pursuit.
If this is true, I am going back to Tyranitar and never looking back.
If this is true, Pursuit is coming back as TM 203. Life Dew is getting a TM. Faint
That's crazy.
is getting a TM. Strength Sap is getting a TM. Yeah.
It looks like this over for Urshifu.
And then we've got quite a few of the favorite TMs coming back. You know, Ally Switch, which was a TM previously, is returning. Breaking Swipe, Roost, Coaching, Triple Axle, Scorching Sands, Expanding Force is coming back as a TM. Meteor Beam, Steel Roller, you know. But this is going to mean that Expanding Force Hatterene is going to be a thing again. Pursuit Tyranitar is going to be a thing. You know.
And there will be no living.
It's going to shake up a lot of details if this is correct.
If Pursuit comes back, Kingambit better get it too.
Oh, more than likely. I believe it actually is listed in here, potentially. Actually, no, they only listed info for the new moves and the distribution of new moves.
Okay.
But
if Pursuit coming back is huge. I was a Pursuit player back in the day.
I mean, almost everybody was, I feel like. I hope.
You had to be.
Mm-hmm.
It was too good.
Yeah.
Do you want to run us back over what Pursuit does for those who might not know?
Make me talk about the move that I'm so glad is gone from VGC? Not looking forward to it coming back. No, Pursuit is a really strong move. What it does is it's a 40 base power dark type move. And if your opponent is switching out, Pursuit gains speed priority and will always hit your opponent before they switch. Now, I've also done some research since seeing this drop. Pursuit, when your opponent is using a move like Volt Switch or whatnot, if the Pursuit user is faster than the Volt Switch user or whatever, it will just deal base 40 damage and it won't get the boost. However, if they're slower than the Volt Switch user, it does still proc, and it does still activate the damage boost.
Yeah.
So, it's a base 80 power Dark-type move that hits things when they switch out. So, like, yikes, Fluttermane. That's going to take a lot from every Pursuit. Oof. So,
can you imagine a Chimchar gets Pursuit?
It probably will, and it's going to be terrifying and disgusting.
It's going to be amazing, and I'm here for it. I will run Pursuit on at least 2 or 3 of my Pokemon on a team, and then Trick Room for the rest.
Pretty much, yeah. That's
I
actually
will.
really
I
good.
will.
Pursuit and Trick Room is really strong core.
Because you just want to swap out into your protectors.
Yeah, I think we are going to see a lot of resurgence of Sword and Shield meta. I think we're going to see Indeedee, Hatterene, T-Tar, Excadrill, core
Yeah.
show back up
I
again.
think a lot of people are just not going to be ready for how bad heavy pivoting is going to be hit.
Yeah,
Pursuit will change the game again.
drastically.
There was a drastic change in what Pokemon were being used between generations 5 and 6.
Yeah, with the removal of it.
With the removal of Pursuit alone.
Yep.
And like it was so like outrageous, like the differences in like they knew how bad it was going to hurt Tyranitar stocks, that they gave Tyranitar its own Mega Evolution.
Yeah.
And it still didn't
couldn't save it.
Doesn't save it. Like honestly, I really think that this is some tech that Dark types really just do need back.
Honestly, I don't think they need it back, but they're getting it back supposedly. So.
The reason why I feel like
I think some of them do.
Has had the flavor, like the the flavor of the class in a way.
Yeah.
Has kind of as like it's all about like those low base power moves that, when executed properly, get like that double damage. Right. That's always been the gimmick for those dark type moves. And
Assurance, Pursuit. Yeah.
Lash Out, even with the new one.
Yeah, Lash Out. That's true. Yep. Forgot about that.
They always have these. They always have these niches about them that really reward you for making, like one would say, like sneaky plays.
Yeah, and I mean even Sucker Punch is that way too. Only hitting opponents who attack.
Only works when they go for an attack.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Pursuit being back is definitely going to be an interesting meta change. There is one of these new moves that I wanted to bring up specifically as well. Supposedly, this is called Supercharged Cell. It provides an Omni Boost on turn 2 with a turn 1 charge. Now, the reason...
Is this a Charge-a-Bug move?
The reason why I'm bringing this up is because of the Pokemon that are listed in the distribution. You got Voltorb and Electrode, both versions. You got Magnezone, no surprise there. Charge-a-Bug and Vikavolt. You got Iron Moth, which is a really interesting one, but it kind of makes sense. Magearna, Reshiram and Zekrom, and then Metagross.
Oh no!
So Power Herb Metagross with Supercharged Cell could be a huge factor.
This could be the new Xerneas.
That's exactly what this is.
I think goodness they've nerfed the crap out of Steel type in the last couple gens.
So it's going to be interesting. So, can't say for sure whether all of the information listed here is actually true. So that's why I'm not really trying to go into all of the details on it, but...
Hey, if Pursuit comes back, I'll teach you guys how to use it.
Exactly. We got some key information here that if this is correct, this makes huge changes to the meta. So, like, definitely worth considering if you're planning for Portland and Regulation F and the first tournament with all of these new moves coming back.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be wild.
Either way, I'm just going to be happy that there's going to be something that will try to shake up something, at least for a month, before it goes back to Urshifu Arcanine balance.
You know, I'm going to be impressed if we make it back to where we are now. Don't think we will. I think we're going to see so much change from what comes out of this that I don't think we're going to settle to exactly where we are again.
I think Fluttermane's going to drop off the face of the planet just because Bullet Punch is going to come from Metagross.
Fluttermane is going to disappear, I think, in comparison to where it is currently. Chien-Pao, I think, is actually going to gain a little bit of stocks.
Chien-Pao will take that spot.
But I think we're going to see actually a little bit of a sway away from Hyper Offense because of how much Pursuit damages Hyper Offense teams. A good Pursuit lead will just ruin all of the momentum that a Hyper Offense team is even able to start with.
Yes.
So
it will.
It's going to be very interesting seeing where we go into the next meta.
Nothing will be free.
Nothing.
There will always be a cost. But I think with that, that's everything from us, right?
I completely agree. I think that's going to be about it from us this week. Let us know what your thoughts are on any of the new information that exists, and let us know if you've got anything you want to discuss on some of these tournaments that have been happening. Let us know your thoughts on Gdansk, on LAIC, on, Yuya Tada getting DQ'd in Top Cut, specifically making it all the way there. Like, all of the above. I will also put the link for this leak in the description. Check it out on your own time. Determine if you believe this or not yourself. But there's so much information in this that I am inclined to believe that at least, like 50% of it is probably accurate and or true.
I'm more inclined to believe that Pursuit will come back.
Right? So, yeah. That's going to be about it. Thanks so much, everybody, for checking us out. Have a great afternoon and a good rest of your day, and we will catch you guys next time.